We'll move on to Savile Row. This is a new special policy area that's just coming through in the core strategy. Essentially, should we establish a set of criteria to allow the relocation of bespoke tailoring? And if so, what should it include? One example would be relocation of uses should only take place as part of land use swaps within the special policy area. And we'd take into account the visibility of the workroom, so we'd be looking at basement and ground level premises. Are there any other criteria that anybody wants to put forward with regards to how we manage Savile Row and the bespoke tailoring that exists there?
Yeah, Matt Humphreys on behalf of the Pollen Estate. I think it's firstly just to say that we're very supportive of the special policy area and encouraging bespoke tailoring and protecting it. And I think the key behind the logic for the basement and ground floor location is that previously there were some units at the upper levels which, there was actually a lot of tailoring businesses there, but you couldn't see them. So there were basement levels which were vacant and really didn't add to the character of that street, which is, world famous. So I think that's a key point. I think the main thing with this is really just seeking flexibility, because unfortunately a lot of these businesses, what you might define as a tailoring unit, I know you set out that it's a sui generis use, but from a strict planning point of view, we've always taken the view, which we believe correct, and actually set out in some of your tailoring reports, that the tailoring use is actually B1 light industrial use, because it effectively constitutes a manufacturing process that can be carried out in a residential area, which it is. Therefore, I think that that's an issue that needs to be addressed in terms of defining what is tailoring, just to allow that occupiers and landowners can work together with the council and achieve a sort of beneficial result for all involved. So I think it was really just sort of picking up those points, really.
I think I'll just add to that. If tailoring, bespoke tailoring, was categorised as a B1 use, we would have absolutely no control over them becoming offices. Absolutely no control at all. Whereas if they're categorised as sui generis uses, we can actually control that use. That might be something you want to consider in terms of how they're defined.
Yeah, I think especially with the ambition to relocate them to the ground and basement levels, from a market point of view, that's not something you'd want to have. It wouldn't be desirable to have office uses on the ground floors of an active frontage. So I don't think that's a big problem. Also, there's ways to deal with it. You could have some sort of condition saying that each application coming forward or each change or swap would have to always demonstrate that there's no net loss of tailoring floor space.
Well, if you categorise tailoring floor space as B1C, we would not be able to control net loss of tailoring floor space, because anyone could just come and put the tailors out and put an office in. So there would be absolutely no control. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this is a special policy area to look at tailoring, and if we do define tailoring as B1C, as you've suggested, then it would make this special policy area meaningless, in all honesty, because from my understanding, you wouldn't be able to protect the tailoring use. It could change to any other B1 use.
I think it poses the question that there's clearly a need for the council to work with the Savile Row group to try and agree a definition of tailoring. And I agree it's not a straightforward point, but I think it's something that the council should lead on this.
Okay, thank you. Councillor.
Realistically speaking, one should remember that I understand that as far as the tailoring goes, although the fitting and the measuring might be done in the tailor shop, in fact, all the actual tailoring is done elsewhere.
Perhaps we could have a comment here.
Well, hang just a minute. I don't believe that to be so. And what's more, if it is so, some of it is because the basements are not of a quality where today, in working standards, it couldn't be used. But I happen to know that, because I took a particular interest in this original designation, that a lot of the work is done there. It was suggested at one time they're all going off to China to finish off, or in other parts of London, East London. But I know my links with what's now called the University of the Arts, which was in the College of Fashion, in part of the London Institute. We took a great interest in that area and would do anything, if anything we can do, like the Harley Street Precinct. It is a name which is part of London's heritage.
Okay, thank you.
I might just add to that. I'm Mark Henderson from Savile Row, Bespoke and Gibbs and Hawkes and various other companies. There are in fact about 100 working tailors on Savile Row now. There are in fact, the last count there were 34 people in training. We have a steady stream of people from colleges and so on coming through. So it's not only just commercially does it work, but it has a much broader context for the British fashion industry and so on. And the other point I'd like to make is that perhaps I don't know a great deal about Harley Street other than its reputation is clearly great, but one of the comments was that practitioners on Harley Street may well prefer to go and work in a hospital or wherever it is where they've got all the facilities, but actually Savile Row is where the facilities are. So the viability of Savile Row depends on having a cluster of businesses, and every single tiny square foot of workroom space that ceases to be workroom space means that there's a little bit less and it just becomes less and less viable. So it's actually worked pretty well in the last couple of years. We've had a good relationship with Pollen. We certainly absolutely support the development of really high quality office space in the area. We certainly absolutely abhor the thought of general retail moving into the street, and I think that's out of the question. But we'd certainly like to do whatever we can to help with the development of good quality office space. But I do agree with your concerns about B1 usage and so on, and I think every case has to be looked at on its own merits, and there is a clear footprint of what currently makes bespoke tailoring on the road. So I'm sure we can come to an agreement on that in due course.
Okay.